The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill. A breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help. Just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Jeremy Schaap. You may know me from ESPN's Outside the Lines and Sports Center. What you probably don't know is that I've suffered from Crohn's disease for almost 20 years. The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation of America's Take Steps, Be Heard walk program is the largest national walk program dedicated to raising funds and awareness to combat Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. To learn more about how you can help and to find a walk site near you, please visit www.cctakesteps.org.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing. We got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and practice an escape plan for you and your loved ones. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov, because fire is everyone's fight.
Have you mixed your pain meds, your sleep meds, your allergy meds? Call the Poison Helpline. Has your child eaten a tube of toothpaste, a chip of paint, a wild mushroom? Call the Poison Helpline. Have you been bitten by a spider, a snake, an insect? Call the Poison Helpline. Poisonings can happen at the home, on the job, or in the great outdoors. Call the Poison Helpline first for fast, free advice from medical professionals. Call 1-800-222-1222 anytime, anywhere. 1-800-222-1222. Save the number, save a life. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all, the few, the proud, the Marines.
Hi, I'm Hillary Duff. As a mom, I'm proud to support the March of Dimes in helping more women have full-term pregnancies and healthy babies. That's why I walk in March for Babies. The money we raise funds research and local programs that help babies overcome the challenges of premature birth and birth defects. Sign up today at marchforbabies.org. Together, we can help make healthier babies possible for thousands of families.
The following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Excuse me, good morning to you, one and all. It is I, your lovable host, Rod, coming to you live from the Bunker Eye studio, somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is live free or die. It is not government or bust. Here it is on Thursday, March number 2 in the year of our 2017. Oh, geez, almost another week in the bag. Call-in number this morning is 603-835-3226. I got to tell you, I started off this morning a little upset, and not because of what the Democrats or anybody else in politics has been doing. Oh, those people piss me off on a daily basis. That's a guarantee. That's not going to change anytime soon. Even if I were to become, God forbid, even if I were to become a snowflake, obviously snowflakes get angry pretty easy about whatever people on the right do. So it doesn't matter which side of the political aisle I would be on. People would, politicos and their extreme supporters would tick me off daily. No, I was ticked off this morning simply because of a service that I was paying for was not working. Now, I had been scratching my head wondering what the hell was going on with certain things that I was doing and how come all of a sudden it stopped working. Why was I not getting results? So I thought, you know what? This is pretty stupid. Why didn't you think of this before? Why don't we just test the whole system? So sent out a test. Found out that the one of the services that I'm paying for doesn't work. So it tells you that it's working. So I went in and checked all the all the settings, everything. Nothing has changed. All the settings are the same. I checked to see there were no updates that I had to do. No updates. No, everything was exactly the same as it was when it was working. The only difference is that certain things I started to do have become more and more conservative leaning. So my question to them in the email is, why was it working before and not working now? And I'm doing the exact same thing I did before. And why is your system telling me that everything is working, and then when I go out to these places to see if it is working, there's nothing there? Now, I'm not going to say what the service is yet, because I'm going to give them time to respond and fix the issue. But imagine my surprise and my delight when upon establishing the test last night and waking up this morning and finding out that nothing was working on that particular piece of program that I was paying for. Now, I didn't know you had to go around on stuff that you're paying. No, sure. I mean, if it's Facebook and it's free, I mean, then you kind of expect to play by their rules. But when you're paying for something, it's a little bit different story. It tells you it's working, but it's not. Now, to me, that's kind of fraud. That is fraud. Now, I don't know exactly when it stopped working. I'm going to have to do some forensic research to find out, but I get it. It's unnerving that people will actually try to do something like this. Now, again, I can't tell you exactly why it stopped working. I don't know if it is because they're Trump supporters over at this particular firm or not. I don't know. My investigation hasn't gotten that far yet, but I think it is very unnerving that stuff like this is starting to happen all across the country. Now, if it's free, it's one thing. I mean, if Twitter wants to shut people down, it's free to use, and it's there. It's actually a private platform. It is not a public platform. It's not government, so it's a private platform. So they can do that. I mean, it's for the type of system that it is. It's wrong for them to do that, to invite people and then tell them they can't talk about certain things. I mean, I think that's the whole point. You're inviting people over to use your Twitter platform. But they can do that. But however, if you were paying to use Twitter and they were advertising for you to come over and talk about whatever you wanted, that's a different story. They don't get to all of a sudden decide one day that they don't like your tweets. Doesn't work that way. That's called fraud. And they don't get to stop you from tweeting without telling you, or by telling you, oh yeah, your tweet went out, and your tweet does not go out. Again, that's fraud. So all I can, they've got some splaining to do, Lucy. Because no, I will if I don't get a response. There are some companies. They've gotten. I'll admit it. Spreaker has gotten better in their customer. They used to not answer. Okay. I remember a couple of years ago. It was over a piece of music. And for whatever reason, the artist decided that they didn't want anybody using their music anymore. It was only them. They didn't, so we had to remove it. But somehow it got stuck on Spreaker. And I kept getting emails from this artist saying, man, you got to remove it. I said, I did remove it. And I didn't know what was going on. I couldn't figure it out. So I contacted customer service at Spreaker. And I would copy him to let him know that I was trying to figure out what the hell was going on. I didn't get a response for them for 2 months. Literally, nothing. I got no response from Spreaker until finally I said, you know what? It's out of my hands. I've been trying to figure this out and get you guys to help, but you're not. So now I'm going to direct him to have his lawyers get in touch with you. Now, as soon as I said that, boom, within 6 hours, I got a response. And they told me exactly what the issue was, and they fixed it. Like, wait a minute. I've been emailing you every other day, literally every other day, copying this guy to this artist, because I didn't want him coming and suing me for doing something that he told me I couldn't do anymore. So every email, I copied him, so he knew I was trying. I said, you know what? I'm done with this. His lawyers are probably going to contact you. And then, boom, I got a response and they got it fixed. I don't know why it had to go that direction for a response to happen. But I will say Spreaker has gotten a lot better with their customer service since then. Now, it's good to improve. But, and again, it was a service that obviously I was paying for because Spreaker is not free. So that's unacceptable. Now they're more acceptable. Their customer service level is more acceptable. Before, that was not acceptable. So I don't understand why people do that. I really don't. It ticks me off to no end. You can't advertise one thing, take people's money, and then not deliver. That's called fraud. So we will give this service time to, and no, they don't get 2 months. They get 1 business day. And that's it. I'm just, look, we're dealing with a bunch of people already that don't do and deliver what they say they're going to do and deliver. I guess the American people, well, not just the American people, worldwide, we've been used to this kind of thing because it's happened over and over and over again. And now all of a sudden we're starting to get people, in politics especially, we're starting to get people who we elect who actually are at least trying their damnedest to deliver on what they said that they were going to deliver. And when that happens, the establishment, who constantly goes out there and promises us stuff and then doesn't deliver it, doesn't even try to deliver up on it, well, they want to complain and bastardize the person who is living up to their promises. Now, where is all this leading? Well, evidently, there is some news out there, and it's rather discombobulating at best. But evidently, and of course we already knew this, but there is evidence that Obama is coming back, and his goal is to somehow oust President Trump via impeachment or getting him to resign. And now this came to me via InfoWars. I know some people are saying, oh, Rod, that's Alex Jones. Well, got to tell you, I don't get a lot of stuff from Alex Jones or InfoWars, but when you do a little bit of research and you find that Alex Jones gives a link to none other than Daily Mail. So Alex Jones isn't finding this out on himself and reporting a conspiracy theory. He's reporting something that was printed in the Daily Mail. Folks, this stuff is serious, and you need to understand it. You need to know the powers of evil and the principalities of evil, that is, evil forces that are out there working against Donald J. Trump. Barack Obama has invited someone into his new 8,200 square foot home in D.C. That mansion that he's leasing. Because, which one is it? Malia, the youngest one? Sasha's the older one, right? Or is it the other way around? I don't know. I don't care. Anyway, the youngest daughter of the Obamas is still in high school. And they said that they would, I don't know how they can go on like a 3-week vacation and still have their kid in high school. Where the hell was she? Sasha's the youngest, because Malia was off in Colorado at the Sundance Film Festival not too long ago. So I don't know how they can go off on a vacation. Where was Sasha? Is she back home by herself? Going to high school? Staying with friends? She doesn't have any grandparents, as far as I know. In any case, in this 8,200 square foot, big enough. I'm not disparaging the Obamas from living in a big house. I mean, that's fine. They can afford it, as long as we the people are. We're paying for the security, but as long as we're not paying the rent or the mortgage, it's fine by me. If they can afford to live in that house, great. Being a president, I don't see how you could not afford it, but these people got pretty wealthy pretty damn fast by being president. I mean, they're not worth millions and millions and millions, but they're definitely worth a few $1 million now. Off of lies, by the way. Nothing but lies. But here it is. Barack Obama's close confidant, Valerie Jarrett, has moved into his D.C. home, and which is now the nerve center for their plan to mastermind the insurgency against President Donald Trump. Now, former Attorney General Eric Holder has said and has been quoted yesterday as saying, he's coming and he's ready to roll. Woo! Obama's coming. Oh, my God. Everybody take cover. Oh, and everybody else is like, oh, look, the Messiah. He's returning to Washington. Oh, good. Thank goodness Obama's coming back. He's going to set Donald Trump straight. All the snowflakes are out there saying, yeah, Obama's going to set Donald Trump straight. That's right. Obama, he's the one. He's a potentate. He's going to set that evil, mean, wannabe President Donald Trump straight. Folks, these are sycophants. They don't know when their turn is up. This is all, I've warned you folks about this before. This is all about power. Some people want to say, and even they on the left, they want to try to make you think this is Donald Trump. It's all about money. Money, money, money. It isn't about money, folks. Money is naturally attracted to power, but it is not about the money. If it were about the money, the Obamas wouldn't bother with staying in D.C. They'd be out there, doing what the Clintons did and giving speeches for $500,000 and $1 million apiece, and just racking up a financial bank account like you would not believe, like the Clintons did. Folks, this is not about money. And there are those of you out there on the right who think that's what it's all about. I'm telling you it's not, because if you think that they're focusing on money, then you're going to get hammered. This is all about power, and it's not about a legacy. I know we're told, well, he's trying to protect his legacy. No, you can protect your legacy without interfering with the daily activities of the president of the United States when you're not the president. No, folks, this is strictly about power. That makes Obama and his minions. Now, understand this. Understand this clearly. Because you have power yourself to mitigate some of this. But because all Obama is interested in is power, that makes him a very, very, very dangerous man. Don't doubt me.
You're listening to me, your lovable host, L. Rod, here on the Rod Eccles Show.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
A couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
603-835-3226. That is a number to utilize if you wish to join me here live on the Rod Eccles Show. And, we're talking about this whole issue with Obama returning to Washington, D.C. He hasn't left. I mean, the leaks that are coming out, I do not know. The only thing I can think of was why Donald Trump has not sacked every Obamanite already is simply because, first of all, he needs people in there to at least pretend like they're running the government because he can't do it all by himself. And second, because Congress is moving so damn slow at approving his cabinet. I mean, this is it's not just the Democrats. It's not just Obama, folks. When are you people going to wait? Look, at this particular time, 8 years ago, the Republicans could not stop the Democrats from doing anything. The Democrats, Nancy Pelosi and Harry Reid, controlled the House and the Senate with an iron fist. And as try as the Republicans might, there was nothing they could do to slow them down. Very little they could do to slow them down. They definitely couldn't stop them. Now, the Republicans are in the exact same position as the Democrats were 8 years ago. And yet, for some reason, they can't move their asses. Folks, this has nothing to do with giving them the House, the Senate, and the presidency. It has everything to do with who's the president. I'm telling you, you as the people who voted for Donald Trump should be livid with your representatives and your senators. You should be flooding their offices daily with emails and phone calls, besieging them to tell them that if they don't get their asses in gear and get moving, that the next election they are going to be fired. There is no excuse for this. Do you realize how Donald Trump can't get rid of these, cannot get rid of these leaks without putting his people in place in their appointed positions that needs to be approved by the Senate. He can't do it. Can you imagine you're the president of the United States, one of the most powerful men in the world, and you're sitting in your office, and somebody tells you, well, sir, we just found it. We know that there's something else got leaked. And you're saying, well, find these leaks. Well, we can't do anything about the leaks, sir, because we have nobody to replace them. Because we do not have our cabinet secretaries and undersecretaries in place because Congress is going slower than molasses in February. And the reason why they're moving so damn slow is because, no, they don't like Trump either. Well, now here comes the clash of powers and the clash of personalities. And isn't it wonderful how at the State of the Union address, Trump just went over everybody's head and went directly to the people. And the people responded resoundingly in Trump's favor. They liked what he said and what he was talking about. They would love for him to go ahead and fulfill his promises. But unlike Obama, he's not a potentate or a potentate wannabe. So right now, the only people standing in Obama's way, believe it or not, is the Congress. The same Congress that you and I elected and put in place. Think about that.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
Hello, America. It's me, your history. I remember a time when we thumbed our nose in a king's face, sent him packing. And when fascists and emperors talked a little bit too loud, we showed up, tore their cities to the ground, and then rebuilt them just to prove we could. We put men on the moon, we won a Cold War, and we elected fearless leaders who led fearless people. What the hell happened to you, America? Back in my day, we didn't elect a big-eared community organizer. We punched him in the kidney. Maybe it's time you came home, America. Home where you belong.
Welcome back. Here we are this Thursday morning here on the Rod Eccles Show. The call-in number 603-835-3226. Do I need to go slower? Somebody said that I said that number too fast and they couldn't. Okay. 603-835-3226. You know, did anybody else out there really have remember the Wonder Years and the teacher that they had who was monotone and dull and droll? Believe it or not, that was kind of entertaining to watch that. And it was entertaining because I actually literally did have a math teacher like that in high school. His nickname was Monotone Tony. And, his last name escapes me right now. But that's how I remember. His first name was really Tony. But that's how he and you take this number and you exit the X times VB over XYZ with the parentheses here. And from there, you should be able to do it yourself. I swear he was my Algebra 2 teacher. Now, needless to say, I didn't learn a damn thing about Algebra 2. I don't think anybody did. He was really that droll and that monotone all the time. That was just not his teaching style, because if you ever talked to him in the halls or at his desk after class, that was just the way the man talked. He was emotionless. He was just constant monotone all the way through, which is, we didn't invent the name. We picked up the name. Kids before us who had him obviously named him Monotone Tony. So whenever somebody would say, well, who do you have for this class? And, he'd say, oh, you guys got Monotone Tony. Good luck. And that's how the names get passed down, because kids will talk in the halls and tell, especially at the beginning of the new year, tell their friends and everybody else who they have for teachers. And, of course, if there's already nicknames of those teachers, the older classmen will let them know what those nicknames are. And the older classmen definitely told us what the nickname for this particular math teacher was, Monotone Tony. The funny thing is now that you think about going back to most of my teachers, they would be there. They would, if most of them cannot still be alive, I would not believe that they are, honestly. Because some of them were pretty old back then. They were in their 40s and 50s. Now you're talking going back a few years. So they'd probably be in their 80s, 90s, and above today if they were still alive. And that's kind of unfortunate to think about, but that is the truth. Now, if you were a Generation Xer or a baby boomer, how often do you think about your old teachers from grade school and middle school and high school? And do you realize that they're probably not still on this earth with us? I mean, for some of us, that might be a sad thought, because I'm sure all of us have had a favorite teacher. And the problem is that because we haven't seen them since we left school, we probably still have etched in our brains, in our minds, of how they were the last time we saw them. And of course, decades could have passed and they don't look anything like they did back then. if they're still even alive. That's the march of time. In one sense, it's very sad because you have fond memories of some of your teachers, I'm sure. And even the ones that you didn't like, the memories that you have of them are actually kind of fond too. You know, maybe at the time we didn't particularly like Monotone Tony, but I can look back at that class and that guy and that teacher with kind of fondness and like, yeah, he was so droll. And you find it hard. It starts to morph into a myth because you haven't seen them in so long, and of course we know how the mind sort of embellishes on memory, or does it? You know, they've done experiments on this, and the experiments have been inconclusive because they've been all over the map. And they've said that, you know, yeah, you're over years and years and years, and you replay the image in your head and replay it, you embellish upon it. And then some studies say, no, the human memory is actually pretty damn accurate. So I don't know which way to go with that one. I don't think I'm embellishing at all when it comes to Monotone Tony. He really was that droll. But if he's still alive, I wonder how he's doing. I do. I doubt he's still. He would have to be. He's 90 plus by now. I mean, it's still possible, but highly unlikely, I would assume. I don't know if he had any bad habits. I don't know if he drank or if he smoked because he never did any of that at school. And he seemed to be somewhat healthy back then. You know, he wasn't fat. He wasn't a fat teacher. So you never know. I mean, but do you ever really think about your old teachers? I mean, every once in a while I'll think about my grade school teachers, knowing that none of them are still alive. But and that's kind of weird to think about. But that's humanity. That has to do with our mortality. And understand that we all have this sense of mortality about us. I don't care how old you are. At some point, something happens to you. Even if it's just, if it's just a fright. Even if it's just an imagined fright, your whole, I don't care how young, once you become self-aware, even slightly before you're self-aware. When is that? Somewhere around, I don't know, maybe 2, 3, 4 years old, you really become self-aware. And you understand what fear is. But once we become self-aware, at least, we all have experienced some sort of dire mortal moment where the fight or the flight or fight response kicks in for your survival. Now, it may not be a real issue that could endanger or take your life, but you at that particular point in time, you may think or feel that it does, and you respond accordingly. It's called survival because that's the first time you realize, without you actually realizing it, where you realize subconsciously that you're mortal. So we have this whole mortality thing hanging over our heads from the day that we become self-aware. And we realize consciously and subconsciously that we're not always going to be here. So then a lot of us, we get into this mode that we have to start thinking about, well, how are people going to remember me? Because that's how we feel that we're going to live forever. And indeed, there are some people throughout history that we still talk about. Now, the vast majority, 99.9% of the people that have ever lived on this planet, we don't know who they are, who they were, why they were, what they did, how they lived. We think we know some of them, but we don't. We really don't. 200 years from now, most of us are gonna pass into the annals of history unnoticed and unknown. I know that's kind of harsh to say, but that's reality and that's the truth. Nobody's going to remember most of us. They're just not. That's just the way it is. And so we all have this kind of desire to perpetuate our spirit, as it were, beyond the grave. Now, some people have such a longing for this that they will project themselves into our psyche so that they linger beyond their usefulness. Now, that's a somewhat less than eloquent way of saying that politicians especially have this notion that they need to leave behind a legacy so people that come after them know who they are. Because that's the way they think that they're going to live forever. And they have historical precedents to think that way. Look at some of the people that were rulers and movers and shakers centuries ago. We're still fascinated by the life and time of Egyptian pharaohs like Tutankhamun. Come on, King Tut. Right? Are we ever going to forget that name? Are people ever going to stop being fascinated by who that kid was? No, and you get some modern politicos, and this has been true all down throughout history. You're going to get some modern. Let's face it, not all presidents are memorable. They will be remembered as being a president, but only in the annals of historical text. Because who comes to mind? Does anybody really think of Benjamin Harrison when they think of presidents? Of great presidents? No. He's a forgotten man. He really is. But through our country's history, there are a few presidents who not within our lifetime, but who came before us, who we know about. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Abraham Lincoln, Teddy Roosevelt. Those are just some of the few that come to mind. But we don't think often about the Adams, like John Adams and John Quincy Adams. We don't often think about them. We don't call them great presidents because they did not establish themselves as being such. Not saying that either one of those two men or any of the other presidents were necessarily bad presidents. They weren't president at a time that helped them become famous throughout history. George Washington, obviously, because of his accolades as basically a war hero, if you want to call him that, and being the first president. Abraham Lincoln, oftentimes, is it the person that becomes famous, or does the time period in which they serve make them famous? I think it's a bit of both. And so you have Barack Obama, who really is a historian. He knows his history. Trust me, he knows. And he fully understands what it takes to have a legacy that is memorable. And right now, what Donald J. Trump is doing is dismantling that legacy. And let me tell you something. When people have it in their mind, it is like a mental sickness. When they have it in their mind that they are great and that they need to go down in history as once being great when they were on this planet, they will do anything. And I mean they will do anything to preserve that perceived greatness. They will lie, they will cheat, they will steal, they will collude, they will do things all manner, including things that may be construed as being immoral and illegal. Now, we cannot prove that he is currently directing the shadow government that is causing all these leaks, but understand a lot of these leaks are illegal. And if he's directing those leaks, That's collusion. That's also illegal. So when I tell you this guy returning to Washington, D.C., now, Donald Trump is a formidable foe. Make no mistake about it. But what we have to understand, that we had a guy in office for 8 years that left office with a government in shambles, a military in shambles, an economy in shambles. Yet personally, so many people, the vast majority of Americans, still liked him. Now, how can you ruin a country and still have people that you ruined like you? That's why I say he's a very, very, very dangerous man. And we on this program will be keeping our eye on him.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
One of the things that you have to look out for is as a lot of people say this, and I agree with them on this, is just follow the money. Now, I know some people are saying, but Rod, you said money isn't about power. No, it's not. But money is a tool of power. Money is naturally attracted to power. Money is just a tool for the powerful. And money allows the powerful to stay in power or to gain more power. Really does. Always has. Why do you think that kingdoms went to war with one another? It wasn't necessarily over resources or political views. It was over treasure. The Vikings sacked a lot of the nations and kingdoms around them, not just to take them over and rule over them, but for the treasure, so they could spread, so they can continue paying for their wars. It's all about the power. If they didn't need money to spread their ilk, then there would have been a hell of a lot less war in our human history. It's about the power. And those in power do happen to need money to do certain things, yes. But they don't need to go to war to get it nowadays. They can just make lots of money disappear. And by the same token, ever notice how people disappear? How many people around the globe are missing? And I'm not just talking about the everyday people. I mean, does anybody else find it a little bit odd that Russian ambassadors seems now the most dangerous job in the world is to be a Russian ambassador? How many Russian ambassadors have we lost over the past 4 months? This is 3 of them are gone, right? And people think, well, this is not all about assassination. Really, what happened to the what is it, the half-brother, step-brother of Kim Jong-un? He was assassinated in open daylight. He was poisoned. Why? Is it because Kim Jong-un all of a sudden didn't like his brother? Or did it have something to do because Kim Jong, I forget his name. Because Kim Jong-un saw him as a threat to his power in North Korea. Well, obviously, he was viewed as being a threat to Kim Jong-un's power in North Korea. See, people will do all kinds of things to protect their power. Sure, criminals will do all kinds of things to protect their money or to get money, including kill and murder people, sure. But the powerful, they only do certain things. They only put themselves in danger like that when their power is threatened. I mean, that's just the truth. That's just a historical truth. And right now, Obama's power and his historical legacy that he spent 8 years building is being threatened. Do you not think that makes him, that is not going to make him a very dangerous man? You may think that we all may think that he was the worst president we've ever had in this country. But understand, he was the leader of a major party in this country. He has made a lot of contacts, a lot of friends in high places. That makes him a very dangerous man. Just saying. So if he's out there now trying to protect his legacy, Donald Trump needs to watch his back. He really does. Because he's unraveling a system that these people in power have worked so long and so hard to put in place. And now he's trying to unravel it. I mean, just unbelievable, folks.
America is America because it is so American. The children, they are the future of children, and she loves the children. Diversity is diverse when diversity is diversified. For a future you can see, for a future that brings with it all the hopes of tomorrow. By doing everything we did yesterday, we need a leader, we need a champion, we need her.
Vote for me! It's enough now! Give me it! It's mine! I want it! Just give me it! I want it now!
Stop asking questions and just give it to her already. Or you're a sexist, racist.
Paid for by criminals and idiots for Hillary Clinton, because let's face it, you'd have to be one or the other to vote for this complete monster.
Thousands of families affected by disasters, like the recent wildfires, urgently need support. You can help the American Red Cross provide warm meals, shelter, and hope to families when they need it most. Please donate today to Red Cross Disaster Relief to help people affected by disasters, big and small. Go to redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. Your support is critical. We can't do it without you.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
Were you born from 1945 to 1965? People born during these years are 5 times more likely to have hepatitis C. So even if you try to eat right, exercise, and take care of yourself, you could still have hepatitis C, a serious disease that's a leading cause of liver cancer. If you were born from 1945 to 65, you should get a blood test for hepatitis C. Treatments can cure this disease. Talk to your doctor about getting tested. A message from the CDC.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing. We got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and always stay in the kitchen when cooking at high temperatures. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov because fire is everyone's fight.
Have you mixed your pain meds, your sleep meds, your allergy meds? Call the Poison Helpline. Has your child eaten a tube of toothpaste, a chip of paint, a wild mushroom? Call the Poison Helpline. Have you been bitten by a spider, a snake, an insect? Call the Poison Helpline. Poisonings can happen at the home, on the job, or in the great outdoors. Call the Poison Helpline first for fast, free advice from medical professionals. Call 1-800-222-1222 anytime, anywhere. 1-800-222-1222. Save the number, save a life. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Premature birth is the #1 killer of babies. Those who survive often face birth defects and complications that affect them for life. For hundreds of thousands of families in the United States, this is the hardest thing they will ever have to face. And it's even harder on the baby. March of Dimes is providing education and support to families and funding life-saving research to give every baby a fighting chance. You can help. Do something today. Give them tomorrow at marchofdimes.org/tomorrow.
It's pretty amazing when you consider that 7 years ago, we didn't have the treatments we have now. We cure 80% of children with cancer. Go back 50 years, we were curing 20 to 30%. This is the miracle story of modern medicine. We understand what makes this cancer tick. And of course, without donors from around the world, this just couldn't happen. There's one thing we're focused on, and that's beating this thing.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Not on my watch, our military service members say, as they volunteer to serve. As they move out, stand firm, and take fire. So not on our watch, we say, to the severely ill or injured veterans who can't get the care they deserve to live full and independent lives, even when there's no government funding, or a nursing home seems like the only option. We won't leave one warrior behind. Not on our watch. Join us at findwwp.org.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
America's wounded warriors are coming home. After serving on foreign shores, these brave men and women are returning to their families and communities. Many have wounds you can see, and many have wounds you can't see, like post-traumatic stress disorder. Now that these warriors are back home, they are ready to enter the civilian workforce. To help, Wounded Warrior Project has developed the Warriors to Work program, a career counseling service that helps warriors translate their military experience to the civilian workplace. These extraordinary men and women bring proven world-class job skills and a unique perspective on teamwork to the job. And to ensure the right warrior finds the right job, Wounded Warrior Project works with employers to find just the right match. When you hire a wounded warrior, you hire an intelligent, talented, and committed new employee. Contact Wounded Warrior Project at findwwp.org. Welcome home the brave.
You want to know what time it is? It's time to bring the rain.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge. And you know what? I don't want any part of that, actually. People ask me all the time. They're still asking me, well, why don't you run for office? I'm not interested. I'm not interested in power. I'm not interested in it at all. And I had the last time somebody asked me that, and they even offered, hey, you just tell. And this guy had some pull in his area, in his state. He said, you just give me a call when you're ready to run for public office. I don't even care if it's just for governor of your state. We can set up a PAC here for you. And he gave me his card and his number. And he said, call me anytime. I am serious. And he looked me dead in the eye when he said it. And I said, well, I appreciate it. I really do. Thank you for that. I appreciate your confidence. But I'm not really interested in running because I'm not interested in power. And he said, that's what makes you a formidable and dangerous man. And you know what? He's right. Those of us who don't seek power, we can be very formidable and dangerous. Our very first president, George Washington, the Continental Congress basically offered him a monarchy. George, you can be our king. George said, are you crazy? I'm not interested in that kind of power. And besides, we just got through fighting against the king. Why the hell would I want to do that? A man who does not seek power gets power anyway. And then not only that, George Washington only was elected president twice. And then he walked away willingly. That is truly a dangerous man. And people who are like that, they often, surprisingly enough, they often somehow, some way, get taken out politically or physically. Because people who wield power but who do not want it and are willing to give it up willingly without being forced to give it up, they're formidable people. They're dangerous to those who cling to it. And because power can do it, for a lot of people, power can do a number on them. Power can make them drunk. Look, what's the saying? Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. It really does. In any case, welcome back, folks. It is I, your lovable host, Rod, coming to you live from the Bunker Eye studio, located somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire,
where the state motto is still live free or die. It is not big government or bust. And yes, I did check this morning and no, it has not changed. It is still live free or die. And here it is on Thursday as we progress into hour number 2 here on the program. Call-in number is 603-835-3226. And on this March the 2nd, we're starting to get a little bit of blusteriness outside. Yesterday was kind of rainy, but it was dead calm. Although the other night, not last night, but the other night, one of the weirdest things happened in my neighborhood. Speaking of which, last weekend was also another very deadly weekend in Chicago. Now, if you actually go back and look at modern history over the past 50 or 60 years, Chicago has had some very deadly years. And last year, although it was an extremely deadly year, was not the highest death rate on record. Chicago has been worse. But this is as bad as it's been in many, many years, however. And this pace is continuing. And it's amazing to me how you have all of these wonderful people that are in positions of power, both at the local, the state, and the federal level during the Obama administration that claim to care so much about people, especially the minorities, especially the blacks. And yet they were powerless to stop the bloodshed and the carnage. How is it that one city, one American city, can have as many deaths in a single year as an entire war caused over more than a decade? I mean, do people realize that we have not lost as many soldiers in Iraq since we were there, since we went in there, 15 years ago now, as we lost in Chicago last year? I mean, that's insane. And you're telling me that these people that are in power, most of them white, by the way, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that they're racist, because they're not. They're not necessarily racist. But I mean, just look at it. You got a bunch of Democrats in some of the most deadly cities across the country, and they've been in power for decades. Decades. And even when you get blacks in power in these places, like Detroit, they're still liberal Democrats, but they're corrupt. Look what they did to Detroit. Now, it wasn't a bunch of white people that ran Detroit into the ground. Oh, yeah, some white people started it. But over the past, decade or so, it's been black people that have been fully in charge of Detroit. And look what they've done to it. Corruption doesn't know skin color, by the way. It doesn't. It doesn't care. It is not prejudiced. It is not racist. It is not bigoted. It does not care. Corruption is corruption. I mean, it's just absolutely unbelievable. And then somehow these people get reelected time and time and time again. Now, I got to tell you, I'm at the point in my life now where I just don't buy most election results. When you have, well, let's just take Congress for a second here. Now, none of this stuff is what I had in mind to talk about. By the way, I got so much more in the paper pile that I need to go over with you. But this is important stuff. I need people to understand it and realize this. We have Congress, even right now, that is sitting below a 15% approval. Well, is it up a little bit? I think it's up a little bit, but it doesn't matter. It's still below a 20% approval rating. Even the Republican-led Congress right now, still below a 20% approval rating. And yet the president, Donald Trump, depending on what poll you're looking at, I mean, It's hard to think and believe about any of these polls because his approval numbers are in the 30s, range from the 30s to the 70s right now. It's just ridiculous. But let's just meet it somewhere in the middle. Let's just say his approval is at dead 50%. Well, let's even take the low end. Let's say his approval, I think the lowest I've seen him at is 33%. Let's just say the president's approval number is now at 33%, which is actually a lie, but let's just use that for shits and giggles, shall we? Do I need to label this program as explicit from now on instead of family friendly? I probably should. Well, let's just use that for turds and giggles, shall we? Okay, his approval rating is still higher than that of Congress. Now, the Democrat-led Congress, I saw approval ratings as low as in the single digits. So if Congress is made up of a bunch of individual members, and they have an approval rating of 9, 10, 15%, less than the sitting president, and yeah, Congress had a lower rating than Obama did. Congress had a lower approval rating than George W. Bush did. Had a lower approval rating than Bill Clinton did. Now, if we have all these low approval numbers, meaning people don't like what Congress is doing and in turn don't like the members of Congress, how the hell is it that all of them, almost all the time, at such a high rate, get reelected? Now, I know that I tried to explain this before because it has been explained to me that people say, well, it's not my congressman and it's not my senator that's the problem. It's the other states and other districts' congressmen and senators that are the problem. Well, that doesn't fit the mold. That doesn't work anymore. Because these low numbers would mean that you know what? Even your senator or your congressman, that people in their districts don't like them either. So how is it that they constantly get reelected? And if you go into cities and look at these big city mayors, a lot of them have very low approval ratings, but they get reelected. I mean, if you just looked at the approval numbers, you were sure that Rahm Emanuel was not going to get reelected, but he skated through. How does that happen? Folks, I'm telling you, this whole thing about the Russians hacking the election, what the left has actually done is they've opened the Pandora's box and they've proven that elections can be stolen, because they used to tell us, oh, there's no voter fraud and these people can't steal these elections. We can't steal elections. And then they come out and say, well, the Russians hacked it and they stole the election from Hillary Clinton. Well, now that's a lie, but they just admitted something that they've been denying for decades. And now they've just opened the door and proven that they have been stealing elections all across this country for decades. Think about it. You have a party that has been fighting against cleaning up the election system. You know, one of the ways of doing that is, voter ID. They've been fighting against it. And they've always said, well, there's no proof of voter fraud. I mean, all this is going to do is disenfranchise poor people. They won't get to vote and blah, 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 blah. They come up with, half a dozen reasons why we don't need to tighten how we do our voting system here in this country. And they've always used the excuse, there's no evidence of voter fraud. Nobody's stealing elections. Nobody's hacking elections. And then all of a sudden, their favored person, when they tried to cheat her into office, didn't win. Then they got to come out and say, well, geez, we just didn't lose because the American people didn't like us. We had to lose because somebody hacked it, and it had to be the Russians. Had to be the Russians. So without even realizing it, the Democrat Party, the party that has always stood in the way of cleaning up our election system, because they said there is no evidence of it, just proved, even though they didn't prove that the Russians did it, they just proved by their own words and actions that the elections in this country are not safe. And have been stolen for years.
That is the only way you explain how these people get reelected over and over and over again when they have such low approval ratings. Interesting, huh? Well, folks, it is what it is.
You're listening to the Rod Eccles Show, the coolest, most politically incorrect, conservative black man on the planet.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
Three 835-3226. Yes, that is the number that you can utilize to call in. You can call in to disagree with me too if you want. That's fine. I like having a lively debate. One of the things that is out there now is it's not new. It's this anti-fracking movement. Now, if you were to follow the science and the reasoning behind anti-fracking, you would think that there would be earthquakes all over the place where fracking is. Now folks, fracking is not new. They make it sound like fracking is new. Fracking is not new. We've been doing fracking for some form of fracking for about a century now. And what all fracking really now this granted, we are going deeper than we did 100 years ago, and we're able to do it
not just vertically, but also horizontally, which is, fairly new. It's not all that new. We've been able to drill horizontally for, a couple of decades now. The technology has gotten better where we can actually really literally go flat line horizontal, where I don't think we could do that up until a few years ago. But drills have always been able, well, not always, but have been able to go, slightly horizontal off of the vertical straight up and down. And now we can, I guess the way the technology is, I don't know how the hell they do it, but evidently we can actually go pretty much. If I'm not mistaken, some of the technology that I've read, we could almost do a U-turn drilling, which is kind of interesting. I don't know how they do it. I'm not a drill expert. I don't know how you get metal and steel and all that kind of stuff to bend that way, but especially when you can't do it from that end, it's got to be all done from the top, on top of the earth, while you're drilling 2 miles down, or more. But but the technology is getting to such a point where we can go farther and farther down to get the oil, and we can do fracking farther and farther down. But fracking has been around for a very long time. Now, all of a sudden, over the past half decade or so, they've been saying that all this fracking is causing water pollution, and it's causing earthquakes. The problem is the earthquakes are only happening. This is not the only place on the planet that they're doing all this fracking. And it's not just to get to shale oil, because they say, well, the only reason why we're fracking is to get to the shale oil, because shale oil is harder to extract without fracking. That's not it. They frack all over the globe, but we're not getting all these massive earthquakes everywhere. But here's a story from USA Today. 3 million Americans, primarily in Oklahoma and Kansas, are now at risk for human-induced earthquakes this year. So says a U.S. Geological Survey. Said a U.S. Geological Survey. That is the conclusion of a new report that cites wastewater disposal from fracking as triggering the quakes. The number of Americans affected this year is less than last year, when the agency reported 7 million. So how did that happen? We haven't stopped fracking, but the danger's gone down? And how come there isn't increased danger where fracking is going on the most, like up in the Dakotas and in Montana? And just north of the border into Canada? Why aren't those places experiencing an unusual number or increased number of earthquakes? They're not. At least they haven't been reported as they are. I know, folks, I know. It's these people don't have to make any sense. I get that in order for them to put out to do their fear mongering, and that's all this is, because they've been telling us for years that we're going to run out of oil. We're going to run out of oil. It's even when you look at these wonderful left-leaning documentaries, as they call them, today about the oil and natural resource industry, they talk about how we're going to run out. They have been talking about us running out, for half a century at least. Oh, we're going to run out. And every time that they say that we're going to run out, we find a way to get to more of it, or we find more where we didn't know it was there before, or we find a way to get to the oil that we knew was there but didn't have the technology to get to before. So it's like every time they say that we're going to run out, we find a new source that pushes that deadline of empty well into the future. And so they keep telling us that it's imperative that we switch over to alternative renewable source now, because we're going to run out. Well, yeah, with the last time I checked and I put all this together, I think that at current technology and current supplies that we know exist, yeah, we are going to run out in about 300 years.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
I'm not Rod Eccles, and I approve this message.
That is a number to call should you wish to join me here live here on the Rod Eccles Show. From the annals of the sick and crazy, and it was interesting enough just to bring it to you. Otherwise, it would not fit in. But this is being reported from the Daily Mail as well. There's a young man he's 22 years old, and he lives out in Los Angeles, California, and he's an American. And he has spent a little over $50,000 on over 110 plastic surgery procedures. Not because he has a medical condition. Well, he does. He has a mental condition, but not because he has a physical medical condition. But because he has this mental condition, and he's utilizing these procedures to help transform him into a genderless alien being. In future procedures, he plans to have his genitals, his nipples, and his belly button removed. Now, he goes by the name of Vinny O. That's O-H-H, and you can look this guy up for yourself. Vinny O. He's 22, from L.A., and he wants to transform into being a genderless extraterrestrial. Now, he's a makeup artist, and he believes that he's neither male nor female. Now, see where all this stuff is going, folks? Look, this kid didn't get this way on his own. You know, there are people throughout his life, whether they were, his family or his friends or colleagues, if you want to call them colleagues, or even the mental health profession, and especially the liberal LGBT mindset, that anything that you want to do to yourself and claim that you are is quite all right. Regardless of what your DNA and your physiology says, hey, if you want to now all of a sudden think, you're a white person and there's not a drop of African blood flowing through your veins that goes back at least 100 generations. Well, you can now claim that, you can be from, Sweden for all we know, and or Finland, or the northern regions of Russia. And then you can just decide to say, you know what? I identify with being black, so now I'm trans black. And hey, you're a black person. You can be born a male. And, you could be, pick out people that that would normally be rather very hairy and male. And, you could just be a very, you could have the back hair going and the chest hair going and a thick beard and bushy eyebrows. And all of a sudden you can wake up one day and just say, you know what? I'm really a woman trapped in a man's body. I identify as a woman. And all of a sudden you can just shave everything and be a woman. So now you got a kid out there. He's 22 years old, and I've seen some before pictures. He always thought that he had a big head and that he looked like a Martian. And I'm thinking, where the hell does he get that? He looks like a normal, some of his teen pictures. He looks like a normal teenager. He doesn't look like an alien. There are some people out there that do look like aliens. I'm not gonna lie. There are some human beings out there that look like aliens. He's not one of them. But yet he got it in his mind that he looked like an alien. So, hey, he must be an alien. So he wants to look like what he thinks he is. Now, I don't know where people get the idea of he says, well, yeah, I look like a Martian. Well, now he does. He kind of starting to look like what you would, because of plastic surgery. Now, he says he's genderless, but I guarantee you that the boy is gay. And that's fine, too. But to go through this and to be told that this is normal, And to have a bunch of plastic surgeons out there who will take his money and do his bidding is beyond me. I mean, if I were a plastic surgeon or anybody involved in the disfiguring or reconfiguring, shouldn't say disfiguring, reconfiguring of how the human body looks, and somebody were to come to me and says, you know what, I want to look like an alien, I'd walk them out of my office and into the office of the nearest normal, logical psychotherapist. Wouldn't take him to a psychiatrist because they don't only want to give him drugs. I'd want to take him to somebody who isn't going to fill him up full of drugs, but actually get to the root cause of his mental illness. Because this is not normal. This is not normal. And this kid is going to shorten his life. And I know some people are saying, well, good, get rid of him as soon as possible. And we don't need more people like that. The problem is that we're going to have more people like him. Because this is what we're opening the door to. I mean, folks, it is now to the point where they're saying, you know, we have three sexes now. We have male, female, and I don't know what they're called. Not the androgynous, but the asexual. They don't identify as being male or female. They're a third sex. No, not really. They're still one or the other. But now we're opening the door to all of this alternative stuff. So, you know, people, if mankind survives another 500 years and we get to the Star Trek age, they're going to look back on this day and age, and they're going to wonder how the hell man actually survived. Really, seriously. They really are. I mean, it's maybe it is in the water. Maybe there is something in the. I know some people are out there going to say it's the fluoride, Rod, they're putting in the water. I'm telling you, it's the fluoride. And yeah, who knows? And other people will say no. It's all those all the shots and drugs that we're giving kids to inoculate them from made up diseases. You know, maybe that has something to do with it. There's something going on, and something going wrong in society all across the world. Not just because these people are just not coming from. That's why I was surprised that the kid was an American. Because sometimes when you get these people, they're either British or they're French or there's even a couple of androgynous Asian people out there that you know, from Japan and China that think that they're not male or female, and they do all kinds of plastic surgery things. They do not look human. And it's just I don't. It's a sickness that is overtaking the entire planet, and it is born out of the leftist movement. I'm sorry, it is. I mean, it's one thing to be a legit, real homosexual. They've been around since the dawn of time, basically. All this other stuff is relatively new. No, it's always been there, Rod. We just didn't have a way of expressing it. No. That is not the case. They're trying to push the envelope because shock value is what it's all about today. So how do you achieve shock value and shock fame if you've pushed the envelope so far to the left already? Well, you got to push it even farther. So you know what? Not only am I this genderless person or gender fluid or gender whatever they want to call it, but I'm not even that. I'm an alien. And I'm going to get plastic surgery and spend, you know, $50,000 or $100,000 to make myself look like what I think Martians look like. Now the shocking part isn't so much so that this kid thinks that he's an alien or wants to look like an alien. The shocking part really is that he's finding enough board-certified plastic surgeons who will make the transformation. That's the shocking part. I mean,
can't. I don't know where to go with it from there, folks. Anyway, back to the paper pile. This is from the American Mirror, and I'm ready to admit that I was wrong, which is rare. Not wrong yet because it hasn't actually happened, but I still don't believe that she's actually going to do it. But evidently, in New York City, the signs are beginning to appear all over the 5 boroughs. Hillary for mayor. Yes. I guess New Yorkers, New York Cityers are well. If Hillary doesn't run, are they going to? And they're so dissatisfied with De Blasio. Well, how will he be reelected? Now, folks, I want you to pay attention to this. And if you live in New York City, you got to answer this question. If you are so dissatisfied with De Blasio, De Blusterous as I call him, then you would think that even if Hillary doesn't run, that he would not get reelected. But I guarantee you that if Hillary does not run, which I still don't think she will, I mean, I think that she believes that being a mayor is beneath her. And becoming mayor is not a way back onto the national, not even the mayor of New York City, is not a way to get back on the national stage to try again for the presidency. That's just, she's too old for that. And she's got to know that, I'm sorry, but she's not in full great health even for her age. She's got to know that there's, she's got a limited number of years left. I don't know what they are. Maybe she does. I don't know. But I got to tell you, just by watching her, she acts like she's older than 70. I mean, her body. I don't know what's wrong with her. I have no clue. Maybe there isn't really anything wrong with her other than, some people age faster than others, and maybe she just aged faster. Could be natural, may not be a disease. Just may be natural processes going on in her. I don't know. But for her for people to actually want her to be mayor, then that means they have to be really, really dissatisfied with the current mayor, De Blasio. So how would it be that if he has such a low approval rating amongst even his own ilk, that they would be looking for somebody else to run, that he would possibly get reelected? Now, understand, they would, in order to bring on Hillary, in order for them to try to draft Hillary to run for mayor, they have to be completely and totally disgusted and dissatisfied with De Blasio. Because otherwise you don't replace somebody that you're completely happy with somebody else. Oh, no, Rod, De Blasio is good, but Hillary would be better. Well, you still wouldn't replace him. But someone out there in New York City is making Hillary for mayor signs and plastering them around the city. Several photos have been posted on Twitter showing this. And these are not just, telephone pole posters. These are full-blown posters that you'd have to pay for. They're billboards. And you just don't get to put up a billboard. Well, I mean, maybe they are getting them for free, but you still have to go through the billboard agency in order to get them up. So that's going to cost you something to at least have them printed. Because I know all the printers in New York City are not doing it pro bono here. So somebody is paying for these, at least something for these things to go up in New York City, and people are showing. Now, some of them are in areas that you could say, well, somebody just, stapled them up to the wall or, taped them up to the wall. But again, these are not homemade posters. These are real, printed, high quality, 4-color that what they call the full color things? 4-color? 4-color posters. Hillary for mayor. I'm sorry, folks. You just can't. I know I say this often, but this is more of that stuff I just can't make up.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
Welcome back. I don't know what's wrong with people who would, well, I guess I really can't. I mean, obviously there were some, 55, 60 million people who voted for Hillary for president. So there's a lot of mental illness out there in America right now. Even after you subtract all of the known and potential fraudulent votes, she's still got at least 50 million votes, folks. I mean, we can say what we want, that Donald Trump even got more actual, real, legitimate votes than Hillary. That may be true. That probably is true. I'm convinced that it is true. But the fact still remains that she still legitimately got at least 50 million votes. And that's a sad fact. That is that's a sad commentary about where the direction that this country almost went. And that you would even have some people out there who are willing to riot over this because they didn't, what they want. I know they always talk about democracy, man, democracy. Well, democracy really is in its purest form that the people decide one way or the other which way they want to go. And it's basically by mob rule. So you got outvoted. Plain and simple. You got outvoted. Democracy worked. You're claiming that it didn't, but we're telling you that it did because they didn't want who you wanted. That's the issue that you have is I guess the rest, the 60 plus million that voted for Trump just weren't as smart as you 50 million people that voted for Hillary. I mean, I guess that's the whole. That's their, but they're not. If you talk to them on the street, and just randomly, doesn't matter. The vast majority of them are not very intelligent at all. Now, I'm not just saying ignorant, because many of them, they're ignorant of actual facts, but they're just dumb. They're just plain old dumb. There's a difference between ignorance and stupidity. And a lot of these people that support Hillary, that voted for Hillary, that run around complaining that Trump is an a-hole and Trump is a racist and Trump is a bigot. Sure, there's a little bit of ignorance there, but these people are just plain stupid. They're just I don't care. I don't care if it's, look, I'll say it. Rosie O'Donnell's stupid. Madonna is stupid. I mean, come on. Do you really think that it is a good moral lesson for young females out there, for you adult females to run around with knit caps in the shape of a vagina on your head? And do you think that it is smart politics or smart anything to get up there and write a poem about your menstrual cycle and call yourself nasty, as if your natural bodily function is just somehow beneath you in nasty? That's just stupid. It's not ignorant. That's not ignorance. That's just plain pure stupidity. Well, it is what it is. Here's the other story about Valerie Jarrett. Another outlet is reporting that Jarrett is moving into Obama's D.C. home. Now, I don't know if that means that she's going to be working there, but evidently there were reports that Jarrett oftentimes stayed or basically lived in the White House with the Obamas. Now, I know the living quarters is fairly large. It's not 8,200 square feet. But why would even Michelle allow this? Well, I don't think she's afraid that Obama will somehow be physically or sexually attracted to this woman, because Valerie Jarrett is not a pretty physically attractive woman. Not in my. I mean, some people may find her attractive. I don't. I mean, people can say that Kellyanne Conway is not a good-looking woman, and really, probably not. But Jarrett, oh my good Lord, she's scary looking, actually. There's not a lot I'm afraid of, but you know what? If I this is probably very mean, but if I were to see Jarrett in a dark alley somewhere, I wouldn't walk the other way. I'd run away from that. I would literally run, screaming. It would probably be comical, but is that mean of me? I get, well, maybe, possibly. So what?
The following program is recommended for mature individuals and may contain material unsuitable for morons, cretins, and dishwipes. If you are a moron or a member of the PTL Club, please turn off your radio, because we don't need any more stupid, narrow-minded, pencil-neck geeks who wouldn't know the First Amendment if it came up and bit them on the butt. Thank you.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
See that cute little dog in the pet store window? Chances are it came from a puppy mill. A breeding facility that forces caged, neglected, and often sick dogs to churn out puppy after puppy to be sold for profit. Meanwhile, millions of wonderful, healthy pets end up in animal shelters. This leads to the killing of more than 9,000 by the end of today. But with one simple choice, you can help. Just by deciding to adopt instead of purchase your next pet. Animal shelters are full of amazing pets looking for a home. When you adopt your new best friend, not only are you saving a life, you're taking a stand against puppy mills. When your friends see the smart choice and impact you've made, they adopt their next pet and share with 5 of their friends, who share with 5 more. Before long, thousands get involved. Pet stores stop selling dogs from puppy mills, and even more lives are saved. And with your help, we can save them all. Visit bestfriends.org/puppymills to learn more.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
The human voice. It can be sweet as music, powerful as thunder,
And so, my fellow Americans,
cheerful as laughter. But for millions of people, it can also be a sign of COPD. This serious lung disease can make it so hard to breathe, you often can't catch a breath or finish a sentence, let alone carry a tune. And many who have COPD don't even know it. That's where your voice comes in. If you think you or a loved one have symptoms, talk with a healthcare provider. Early diagnosis can mean better treatments and quality of life. Join us in raising our voices for the millions with COPD who can't. Learn more, breathe better at NIH.gov.
As a mother, you don't want to have to worry about this bill is coming, but then she needs this chemo. That's a decision you shouldn't have to make.
It's a huge burden lifted financially, and so it allows you to give singular focus to your child. I've never known a hospital that takes care of their patients so thoroughly.
That was the first thing I was like, how are we going to do this? When they told us that we didn't have to pay a single bill, I was like, wow. They pretty much have saved us.
It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders, and now your focus is supporting this child.
There is not another hospital like St. Jude. The patient care is unmatchable. It saved my life. It saved my daughter's life. It saved our family.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals. Because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
You want to know what time it is? It's time to bring the rain.
Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
Welcome back. Hour number 3 here on the Rod Eccles Show. It is I, your lovable host, L. Rod, coming to you live once again from the Bunker I studio, somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is still live free or die. It is not big government or bust. Here it is on Thursday, March number 2 in the year of our Lord 2017. Yes, indeed, it's a sunny day outside. Mostly sunny, I guess. Blustery, windy. Typical of March to be windy around these parts. I don't know about where you are. Is March typically windy where you are? But yeah, around here it's typical for March to be windy. And it kind of like the fall, October, is a little bit windy too. Guess so that, it has to be windy then in order to blow all the leaves all over the place. Off the trees and onto your property after you've raked a whole bunch of them up and cleaned your property of all the leaves, and more of them have to blow on there. Just to help out the neighbor who doesn't want to rake his leaves. So, in any case, call-in number is 603-835-3226. And I have a question. Now, maybe it's just me. But, I don't, obviously, it's not like I just sit. I'm not a part of a think tank, so I don't get to go somewhere and just, for 8 hours a day just sit down with a drink in my hand and just ponder and think. Isn't that what they do with think tanks? That's all they do is just sit and think. They talk all day long and come up with new ideas, and they just think. They sit in solitude and think. I don't have time to do that. But every once in a while, I have a thought. just every once in a while, I get a thought. And I get a thought because of, my show prep and research and everything else that I do throughout the day. And one of the thoughts that has come to mind is we have all these wonderful people out there, all these wonderful immigrants, illegal and in some cases legal, not often legal, but, a lot of illegals. And they come here and they protest and they march and they hold signs, and some of them even hold press conferences. Got one here that's holding a press conference about how bad it is here in America. Well, if it's so bad, why did you even bother coming? And if it's so bad, since you're not a citizen, why do you stay? Don't you think that you should be using that energy and that effort that you have here, protesting here, to go back home and make changes in your own place, in your own home?
where you have everything that you like and want the way you want it. Mexicans come here and they don't want to give up their Mexican heritage and Mexican culture. Well, great. I'm not asking you to do that. Why don't you go back home to Mexico and improve your own country where you already have the kind of culture that you like, where you already have the culture that you want being preserved? Why do you got to come here and force it on the rest of us? We didn't ask for you to come here. You came here illegally, remember? We didn't. I mean, does anybody ever stop and ask that question? It's just one of those things that I think about. If you're an illegal immigrant and you come here without being asked, because we're not asking, most Americans are not asking you to come here if you're an illegal. We're not asking you to come here at all. We're asking you to go home and you won't go home. We're asking you to get out and you won't get the hell out. In fact, you just invite more of your family and friends to come and follow you. So why would you go to somebody else's country and then demand that they treat you as if you were back in your own country? We did not ask you to come here. Now, granted, I know some of you came here because you were a little chillin'. And your parents dragged you along and you had no choice. Get it, got it, good. Yeah. But I don't care when you came. You're still illegal. You're still not an American. You're still not a citizen of this country. You do not get to demand a damn single thing from those of us who are citizens, from those of us who did come here legally. You don't get to demand anything from us. And evidently, some of these wonderful dreamers might be finding that out under a Trump administration. And this is from the Wall Street Journal. Illegal immigrant detained after holding a news conference. Yes, Daniela Vargas, 22 years of age, spoke out about her fears of deportation after her dreamer status lapsed. Ooh, why the hell would you have... No, see, folks, this is some stupid right here. There's a new sheriff in town. And yet these people think that the vast majority of Americans are so sympathetic with the dreamer plight. Oh, they came in when they were little. What they're finding out is that most Americans do not feel the way that the liberals tell them that most Americans feel. We're sorry that your parents dragged you here. But you know what? You came from Mexico. You came from Guatemala. You came from Honduras. You came from Ecuador. You came from El Salvador. Time for you to go back. I don't care how old you are. Well, this is the only place I... Well, you claim that you have family. Because every time we turn around, we got dreamers that are inviting their... somehow they manage to get some sort of legal status or green card status, and they start inviting their family members to come over here. So obviously you're still in touch with your homeland. So this 22-year-old female illegal immigrant, whose protection under Obama administration program had lapsed, was detained by immigration officials yesterday after voicing her fear of deportation at a news conference. Yes, Daniela Vargas, who came to the U.S. from Argentina when she was a mere 7 years old, was detained by agents of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement as she and a friend drove away from the news conference in Jackson, Mississippi. The news conference was organized by attorneys, church groups, and the Mississippi Immigrants' Rights Alliance. Look, illegal immigrants have no rights other than basic human rights, but basic human rights don't mean you get to stay here. You don't. That's not a right you have. You came here illegally. Every single country on this planet has an immigration policy and immigration laws. Every single country on this planet gets to enforce those as they see fit. Now, if you happen to know that if you cross illegally into a certain country and they happen to shoot illegal immigrants on sight, then you better not go there. And you sure as hell damn well can't go into that country illegally and start demanding that country starts paying you and starts treating you right and lets you come in anytime you damn well please. Nah, they're just going to shoot you. Now, I'm not advocating that we just start willy-nilly shooting people, but maybe if we shoot a few, the rest will stop. Or at least slow down to a trickle. Because look, we're losing far too many citizens and legal immigrants to the crime that is happening, that is being brought across the border from illegal immigrants. I don't think that's fair. Well, it's not fair that we can't go to America. Well, it's not fair that those people who are here and who came here legally and who were born here should be subject and eliminated by criminals that do not come. I mean, it's bad enough that, people can get murdered and attacked and criminalized here by legal citizenry. But should we double up on that problem by allowing illegals to come here and do that? No. And then, of course, you'll get the left that say, well, this is just a small fraction. No, it's not a small fraction. And even if just one legal immigrant or American citizen lost their life due to the acts of an illegal immigrant, that's one too many. Just one. If it can be prevented, one is too many. Now, if we do everything within our natural powers to prevent illegal immigration, and some people are still going to be able to get through just the way it is, but if we've done everything we possibly can and still one gets through and does some damage, then that's to be expected. But to leave the borders open and then say once we catch them, we release them instead of sending them back? How do you explain that to the families of loved ones who've been lost or permanently damaged in a way by an illegal? They're not undocumented workers. They're not undocumented migrants. They're not undocumented immigrants. They're illegal immigrants. The news conference was organized by Daniela Vargas's attorneys, church groups, and the Mississippi Immigrants' Rights Alliance to bring attention to recent immigration raids in the region. ICE enforcement actions under the Trump administration have stoked fears in immigrant communities after large numbers of coordinated arrests across the country in recent weeks. Good, they should be. That tells you something else. That illegals come across the border and they have no fear of staying here. They're not in fear of anything. They're not in fear of being deported. It used to be that they used to be in fear of, they used to try to stay under the radar and in fear of being deported. Now they're not in fear of being deported. Oh, wait. Now they're in fear again, as they should be. Because that's the way it's supposed to work. Now, understand, I am not against legal immigration. Most Americans are not against legal immigration. Most Americans are against, and most legal immigrants are against, illegal immigration. You're breaking our laws. I mean, just by crossing the border without our permission is strike one. Look, if American citizens are being tagged and having their irises scanned by our government to leave this country, then why the hell should we let people just come here anytime they damn well please without our permission? We got to get permission to leave the country. You damn well sure as hell need permission to get into the country. And I think it's a pretty sad fact that some American citizens have a harder time getting back into the USA when they leave it for a vacation or business than illegals do. I mean, I think it's a very sad fact that somebody like me gets flagged for additional scrutiny to come back into my own country. And then yet we're supposed to let this person who's 22 years old, simply because she came here when she was 7 years old, and we're supposed to let her stay. She didn't have permission to come, but we're not going to question her about it. We're just going to willy-nilly give her and all her ilk, a blank pass to stay. While American citizens who were born here have a rough time coming back into the country after they go on vacation or on a business trip somewhere. And not even to a dangerous place. You just go to freaking Iceland or France, and they give you a hard time for, well, why did you go? Why are you coming back? Well, I came back because I live here. I mean, is it such a... I mean, I can't believe citizens get asked, well, why'd you come back? Well, I live here. This is my home, my country. I live here. Why the hell would you ask an American citizen why they came back to the USA? People have said that they've been asked that question. So why is it an American citizen has a harder time getting into the United States than an illegal immigrant? It makes no sense. So, no, I do not shed a tear. I do not have any sympathy for people like this. If you want to be stupid enough in this era, in this day and age, knowing that people are being rounded up who are thought to be illegal, and you want to have a press conference, I'm not going to be crying you a river anytime soon.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
know some people on the left are going to say, well, I am being mean, I'm being inhuman, I'm being uncaring. No, I'm not being mean and uncaring and inhuman. I'm being I care a lot for, look, if we shut off the doors of easy illegal immigration, then that means these people, most of them are not going to risk their lives crossing the great Mexican desert divide to get here. I mean, do you know, I mean, think about this. Do you realize how many bodies litter the Mexican desert between the two countries? Because people didn't make it. They didn't bring enough water or food to make the crossing, and they died. Or, you know, they injured themselves, or they got struck by, I don't know, what do they have scorpions down there? Something poisonous struck them. In other words, for whatever reason, they didn't make it. But if they didn't believe they could have made it in the first place, they wouldn't have made the trek. Now, if anything, I'm thinking from a humanitarian level. It's the same thing with the wet foot, dry foot thing from Cuba. If those people did not think that they could make it to the United States and make it to land and shore, they wouldn't attempt the trip. Alien Gonzalez, anybody? His mother drowned out there. Why? Because she thought that she could make it to the States and she'd be allowed to stay. The door was open for them to make that trip. Now that's horrible. That is absolutely horrible that we would allow that to happen, to give people that kind of false hope. That they would be willing to put hey, we're just saying, you know what? If you put your lives in danger and you come, that's a great way to get here. Don't bother doing it the safe and legal way. Oh no, risk your life and that of the life of your family and your loved ones and your friends to get here. That's the way to do it. How is that humane? I mean, how is that humane? It's not. It's not humane at all. It's inhumane. And if anything, I think what I'm saying is being a humanitarian, very much so, a lot more so than you liberals out there who are saying, well, no, you just say, well, geez, if they made it, then let them stay. No. If you close the door to easy illegal immigration, fewer people will attempt it, and you'll actually save lives. Now, isn't that what it's all about in the first place? Saving some lives? If we make it so that they can't get here so easily, they won't attempt it. Sure, some will still attempt, but not nearly the numbers that are, and therefore you won't have nearly the numbers that die. So, I don't, it seems to me like it would be a logical thing. Well, I don't, so it, I guess, well, I don't know if look, there'll probably be more dreamers out there, illegal immigrants who give press conferences complaining that they lost their dreamer status or their illegal status somehow, and they're going to get picked up and which is not a bad thing. So you got to understand, you don't get to come here and demand something from people when you come here illegally. Any more so than an American gets a demand to go to anybody else's country and demand something from that country. You just don't have that right. You just don't have that right. Period.
The Red Cross responds to nearly 66,000 disasters every year, most of them house fires. Red Cross President and CEO Gail McGovern says you need to develop an evacuation plan and practice it, especially with your children. It takes just 2 minutes for a home to be engulfed in flames.
Practice those drills. We all think our kids know what to do. They don't. We need to teach them. We have started a large campaign where we're going into vulnerable communities and helping install smoke alarms. Already 92 lives were saved, and 4 of those lives were saved by a 5-year-old girl who remembered what we taught them during these fire drills, and she got her family out. We also have a slew of free apps that people can download onto their smartphones. It's what to do in every kind of disaster you can imagine, how to prepare and how to recover.
To help support all the Red Cross does and to make a financial donation, go to redcross.org. That's redcross.org.
I'm just so happy my father had a chance to see his kids before he passed. I just want to say thank you.
When her father fell ill, the American Red Cross was able to help get Veronica's brother home from the Navy to speak to his father one last time. It's thanks to your donations that we can connect military families when they need it most. Please donate today at redcross.org.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzzed driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzzed driving, because buzzed driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps demonstrate their commitment to defend the American way of life. Since 1775, we have served our nation as a force in readiness. From combat operations to humanitarian assistance in every corner of the world. No matter where the mission takes us today, or wherever our country needs us tomorrow, we always remember the land we call home. As Marines, we take a stand for each other, for our nation, for us all. The few, the proud, the Marines.
I considered suicide so I wouldn't put my family through all the pain.
Many of our warriors are returning home from the battlefield, only to face a new war as they struggle with devastating injuries. At Wounded Warrior Project, we understand. We're there to help.
Even though you think you're broken, you're not. It's the physical and the emotional healing that Wounded Warrior Project provides.
With a gift of just $19 a month, you can join Wounded Warrior Project. You'll help provide critically needed programs and services that rebuild lives.
Beautiful. There you go, buddy.
The ongoing needs of our wounded and their families will continue for many years to come. Now is the time to show your support. Call now or go online with your gift of just $19 a month, and we'll send you this Wounded Warrior Project blanket.
It made me feel that there's people out there that care about us.
After this event, we can finally maybe start to heal as a family and move forward.
We need your help. The families are hurting.
For many of our wounded heroes, the greatest casualty is being forgotten. That's why your gift of just $19 a month is so important. Please, call or go online right now.
bring the rain.
Makes me want to do the country two-step, I guess. You know, however they do that step dancing in country music. You know, when I was in school, we did we did something that I absolutely hated, and we did it in gym class. And we did it in elementary school, we did it in middle school, and we did it in high school. And not just in the same jurisdiction, not even within the same state. In 2 different states, and in 3 different school districts, in gym class. I don't. Was this part of the Jimmy Carter Education Department thing? We had to learn square dancing. I kid you not. From about the time I was in 4th grade on up through high school. In gym class, at least one semester for gym, you know, for about a month or so in gym class, we had to learn how to do square dancing. You know, the do-si-do and Alaman left and Alaman right, and you know, bow to your partner and bow to your friend. I hated that. I know there are people out there that like square dancing. I'm not one of those people. I did not like square dancing at all. It didn't open me up to you know, well, do they do break dancing in gym class today? Do they still do square dancing? They still force kids all over the place to do square dancing. No, I didn't like it, and I'm not disparaging anybody who does like the square. Fine, great, go out and learn how to square dance if that's what you like. I didn't like it. Yeah, and there were many of us who didn't. And still we were forced to and I also remember that in upstate New York, I mean, for 1 year they in music class, what about bluegrass? Now today I can kind of appreciate a little bit of bluegrass music, but back then, no. Why don't we learn about bluegrass? I mean, who gets to decide exactly what is worth appreciating and learning about, and you skip everything else? I don't know. I'm not putting down bluegrass. It's not a form and style of music that I happen to. There's a lot of styles of music that I prefer not to listen to. But we weren't forced to learn about them in school. There's a lot of styles of dance. We didn't. You know, why didn't we learn ballroom dancing instead of square dancing in school? Not once did we learn anything about ballroom dancing. Now, I'm not saying I would have been happy to have learned it at the time, but we didn't learn about it. And ballroom dancing is far more historical than square dancing. So why didn't we learn about that? Who got to decide it was square dancing? The reason why I'm saying, I don't know, was Jimmy Carter a big square dance fan? Because he's the one that started the Department of Education. So is that why we had to learn square dancing? Is that also why we had to learn about bluegrass music? I don't know. Is bluegrass big, and was it big in Georgia? I don't know. But at the same time, I'm still wondering, you know, since we had to go through this torture of square dancing, why didn't we learn ballroom dancing? I mean, you could say, well, because, you know, you had to touch your partner and all that kind of stuff. Well, you got to do the same thing in square dancing. A lot of hand holding and twirling and stuff going on there. And, of course, some people say, well, Rod, now you know what do-si-doing is. Yeah, I could have lived my entire life without having to know what a do-si-do is. I would have been fine with that. Trust me. But look, there's a lot of terms I don't know other styles of dance. Is my life less rich or less fulfilled because I don't know those terms? No, it's not. Well, how do you know what you like if you don't experience it? Well, we didn't experience ballroom dancing then. Why not? If they're going to make us dance, why not do something that is more historical in nature? Well, because square dancing is really all about the U.S. No, it's all about the South. Really. And again, there's nothing wrong with it. I just don't think it was necessary to learn as a forced requisite in public school systems all across the country. I never went to school in the South. And the two states that I learned square dancing were the states of Michigan and the state of New York. Now, I don't think Michigan is a big square dance state. It isn't. So why were we learning square dancing in Michigan? I have no idea. And I'm sure if I were to go, well, I'm sure all those administrators that were administrators back then, I'm sure they're all dead. But if I could actually talk to any of them, I'm sure none of them would be able to give me a straightforward answer as to why. Really, is that really? I can understand trying to enrich, broaden students' horizons. I mean, we're not doing that today, by the way. We're not broadening. They like to tell us that they are. They're not. They're indoctrinating kids. They're not broadening their horizons and giving them a well-rounded education. And frankly, public school is not about giving kids a well-rounded education. It's about just educating them in the 3 R's: reading, writing, arithmetic. And, we should, add the H for history, because that's important, very important, just as important as reading, writing, and arithmetic. My goodness, Rod, don't you know anything? Arithmetic, it's not how it's pronounced. It's arithmetic. It's not an R, it's an A. Just goes to show that look, people have disparaged me for saying that in the past. It's always somebody who thinks they're intellectually superior. You know people who really tick me off the most? People that just get my goat, as it were, are these wonderful, self-important, self-superior intellectuals. But see, I don't get overtly mad at them. Oh, no. I actually like running into them, because that's when my true sarcastic nature comes out. Oh, man, I am so sarcastic to the point of just being downright mean. Because they're mean. It's one thing to be smarter than somebody else because you've been educated more in certain areas, but it's another thing to think that just because you are a pointy head in that area of expertise, that you're better than everybody else. That's what gets me. Hey, you can be a rocket scientist. Great. You are smarter in that area of knowledge than I am. Far superior in that area than I am. But don't you dare think that you can speak down to me or think that you're better than me just because you've chosen to be educated in that area. You're not. That's what gets my goat. And that's what an intellectual is. They're a little pointy-headed peon that thinks they're better than you simply because they got a master's or a PhD in one particular discipline of knowledge. Ooh. Give me a break. That's when the sarcasticness comes out. And yeah, I admit it, sometimes I can just be downright mean when it comes to my sarcasm. I know that it's not a positive trait, not by no means, no. But it is me. And I have been trying to pay more attention to my sarcasm because a lot of times people don't get that I'm being sarcastic. And that's just too bad because sarcastic wit is some of the greatest. If you can be a witty, sarcastic person, that is some of the greatest wit on the planet.
I appreciate good sarcasm. Even when somebody's being sarcastic to me, I can appreciate good sarcasm. I really can. And sometimes it's kind of fun having a sarcastic battle. It can be fun. But yeah. So if I just I'm an extremely sarcastic person. Now I'm probably less sarcastic now than I have, simply because I do know that I can get rather mean, and I don't particularly like that. But it happens. And over the internet, it is in being sarcastic in written form, it is very hard for people to get your sarcasm in written form. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it really, and often it goes, well, a lot of times it just goes over some people's heads, but it's hard to do that. And some people just might think that your sarcasm is not witful, but it's just mean or, bigoted or racist or what have you. And so much so that now you're having all these wonderful, supposedly open platform places on the web closing off that platform to people. But the New York Times has got a piece here that says the internet is destroying, is threatening democracy. Now, being able to express your opinion freely, I think that would be a boon to democracy. But no, the New York Times seems to think that you being able to freely express your opinion is a threat to democracy. I kid you not. This is a piece written by Thomas E. Edsall, Edsall. And he's a gray-haired, half-bald, gray-haired, glasses-wearing, older Neanderthal, as far as I'm concerned, after reading this piece. And now, let me just read you the first paragraph, just the first paragraph. It's a rather lengthy paragraph, and read how it is written, or listen to how it is written. As the forces of reaction outpace movements predicted on the ideal of progress, and as traditional norms of political competition are tossed aside, it's clear that the internet and social media have succeeded in doing what many feared and some hoped they would. By the way, that's one sentence. They have disrupted and destroyed institutional constraints on what can be said, when and where it can be said, and who can say it. Well, frankly, Mr. Edsall, it is publications like yours who is now utilizing an AI, an artificial intelligence program written by Google, to ferret out people who say stuff that you don't particularly like. It is you on the left who is threatening democracy, not those of us on the right. It is you on the left who are tossing out their traditional norms of political competition by cheating and by trying to shut down the opposition at every chance you possibly get. There is no progress, Mr. Edsall, from your point of view. It is all regress, not progress. You're regressing back to a days of monarchical types of societies where you had two types of people. You had the ruling class and you had everybody else. If you were in the class of everybody else, you did not have the right or the freedom to speak your mind. In fact, if you did, you were often hung or beheaded. And now you're doing the same thing, although electronically you're trying to behead people who have an opinion who differs from yours. You claim that they are racist, they're bigoted, they're homophobic, they're all types of manner which they are not, and then you chop off their head, proverbially so, by preventing them from spreading their so-called gospel of hate, which is nothing more than opinion that differs from yours. Mr. Edsall. Did I make my point? So we have the left out there who is shutting down the free thought and free flow of information and trying to. That is also why Obama decided to hand over the internet strings to. Notice how much trouble we've had with the internet of late ever since we no longer really control it. I mean, earlier this week the Amazon cloud was down. Affected thousands of websites. You couldn't. I mean, I couldn't even pick up, certain iHeart radio stations because the Amazon cloud was down. And how many times did my own site I have had people tell me, yeah, Rod, we can't get to your site. Your site's down. Your site's not there. What happened, man? What's going on? And I, call GoDaddy can't figure it out. And the other web hosts can't figure it out. And come to find out that there is a single entity located in Boston that all this traffic that obviously my website is attached to, it has to go through this single entity. And they were attacked and taken down for a week. And this sort of thing did not happen prior to Obama handing over the control strings to the internet. Do you think any of this is on purpose? Well, it must be. Because nobody on the right is out there clamoring to try to shut people's opinions down. Nobody's making artificial intelligence software to determine whether or not somebody is too liberal. All this stuff is geared towards those who don't agree with the so-called enlightened left. And let me tell you something, that's not enlightening. You're not purveyors of light. This is maybe this is a new word, a new term, but this isn't enlightenment that's happening right now across this country. This is endarkenment.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 800-595-2614 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 595-2614 to take your call now. Call 800-595-2614. That's 800-595-2614. Again, 800-595-2614.
It started with a knock, but it wouldn't end there. What happens in the story next, many wouldn't understand, and most wouldn't believe. 5 + 2 = Perfection by Samuel Rosette Jr. is a must-read. The scriptures within are reminders of the ancient past, and yet intriguingly infuses with texts which stand on the edge of the stage of relevancy. Available online at Westbow Press, Amazon, Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and SamuelRosetteJr.com.
We've all heard of male enhancement, but now there's an expert on true male enhancement in the areas that really count. In Herb Ellis's book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, you'll find answers to questions like, why doesn't she want to have sex? A quick start, quick results workout guide. Plus, what you can do as a side hustle to make money now. With all the great tips in this book, every man can benefit. Get the book, Husband 2.0, Real Male Enhancement, on Amazon.com.
You know, a couple of weeks ago, a long-haired young person came into our bank and said to me, I bet you won't lend me money to buy an electric guitar. Well, he was making $100 a week, and he was over 18, and I said, I bet you I will lend you money to buy an electric guitar. And I did. So what happens? The punk gets busted for possession of dangerous drugs, and we're out $350. There's one thing about kids nowadays. You don't have to give them credit.
Universal Bank. We trust you. About as far as we can throw you.
I do believe that today is Texas's birthday.
Is that what we would say? Well, I guess on March 2nd, back in 1836, Texas officially won its independence from Mexico, I do believe. So, happy Texas Independence Day for the Lone Star State. I like I said, I've been to Texas a couple of times now. I like Texas. Not sure I'd really want to move there. I mean, it's kind of hot in places. But Texas is a big state, and obviously I have yet to fully explore that state. There are people that have lived there all their lives that haven't explored the entire state of Texas. I mean, the place is huge. It's hard to fathom the great size of the state until you actually get there. It's even because of the way it's laid out, it's actually more impressive than California as far as size is concerned. In New York, you can be in New York City from just about anywhere in the state of New York in 5 hours or less, 6 hours or less, maybe. If you're coming from the hinterlands of great northern parts. But to be in Texas and to be in a major city and realize to get to another major city, it's still 4 hours away. I mean, when I was in McAllen, Texas, and I said, well, where's Austin? And they're like, oh, that's about an 8 or 9 hour drive. I said, really? And that's just to like the middle of the state. Oh yeah, it's an all day affair if you want to leave Texas by car. If you want to go to the east for McAllen, that's a 12-hour drive, man. I'm like, what? You get to realize just how big. Then you realize just how big Texas is when you're there and people start telling you driving distances. I mean, and these are distances that people can drive 70, 80 miles an hour. I mean, I was there in the Dallas area. They have places where the speed limit's 75 on the highway, and it's still going to take you 3 or 4 hours to get someplace else at that speed. That's a big state, people. Can you imagine what it was like when the speed limit was when they were trying to enforce a speed limit of 55? How long it would take you to get places? Good grief! I'm surprised everybody in Texas doesn't have their own aircraft, because that would be a lot faster. Just saying. But anyway, happy birthday to Texas. Hell's bells, folks. Can't believe it, but we're basically out of time for today. Didn't even get to the Jeff Sessions news today. Yeah, he's under fire yet again. Well, this is not going to end anytime soon. This is how it's going to be the entire 4 years of a Trump administration, so we better be prepared for it. Tomorrow, of course, is Freedom Friday already. Yes, open mic Friday, basically, and just about anything goes. So we'll see you in about 21 hours where we get to do some more fun stuff. Until then, I'm Rod Eccles. Thanks for listening. Have a wonderful Thursday afternoon. See you tomorrow. I'm out.
Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. A shameless politician always plays her cards right. Got a crew for the fight on the airwaves. Lapdogs in the press keep their mouths tight. Cause a Clinton never needs to explain what, why it is what they done or with who. A real Clinton knows that they're entitled, and you don't get to know what they do.
What difference does it make?
For a Clinton, what's loaded in some fat apple file? A Clinton plays the victim for promotion. A Clinton kills it off with a smile. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. A server full of secrets ain't no thing. Damn, it feels good to be a Clinton. Nothing ever hits with the sting.